History's dumbest war, that killed thousands. Have you ever heard of a war so ridiculous that it sounds completely made up? A war that started over something so small, so pointless, that it's hard to believe thousands of people actually died because of it. But this story is real. And it might just be the dumbest war in human history. Let's go back to the year 1325. In medieval Italy, the country wasn't unified like it is today. Instead, it was divided into powerful city-states. Two of these cities were Modena and Bologna. Now, these weren't just random cities. They were rivals, bitter enemies. And their conflict wasn't just about land. It was political. Bologna supported the Pope. Modena supported the Holy Roman Emperor. This divided Italy into two major factions that constantly clashed. Tensions had been building for years. There were raids. There were insults. There were small battles. But nothing could have prepared anyone for what happened next. Because according to the most popular story, this war started because of a bucket. Yes, a bucket. Legend says that soldiers from Modena sneaked into Bologna and stole a wooden bucket from a public well. Now today, that sounds like a joke. But back then, this wasn't just theft. It was an insult. A humiliation. A direct challenge. Bologna was furious. And instead of brushing it off, they declared war. Think about that for a second. A full-scale war, because of a stolen bucket. But here's where it gets even crazier. This wasn't a small fight. Both sides mobilized thousands of soldiers. Armies were assembled. Weapons were prepared. And soon, the two forces met in what would become one of the strangest battles in history. The Battle of Zappolino. On one side, Bologna had a massive army. Around 30,000 men. On the other side, Modena had far fewer troops. Around 7,000. By all logic, Bologna should have easily won. They had the numbers. They had the resources. They had the advantage. But history had other plans. The battle began. And almost immediately, chaos unfolded. Despite being outnumbered, the Modenese army was more disciplined. More experienced. More prepared. They launched a fierce and aggressive attack. And Bologna's army began to crumble. What should have been an easy victory turned into a disaster. Thousands of soldiers fled. Others were killed. The battlefield became a scene of confusion and panic. In the end, Modena achieved a shocking victory. They didn't just win, they humiliated Bologna. And as if to add insult to injury, they kept the bucket. Yes, the very object that supposedly started the war. It was taken back to Modena as a trophy. And believe it or not, that bucket still exists today. Preserved as a symbol of one of the most absurd conflicts in history. Now you might be thinking, was this really all about a bucket? The answer is, not exactly. The bucket was more like the final straw. The real cause was years of political tension, rivalry, and power struggles. But the fact that something so small could trigger such a massive conflict, that's what makes this story so fascinating. And honestly, a little disturbing. Because it shows how fragile peace can be. How easily emotions, pride, and ego can escalate into violence. Thousands of people died. Not because of survival. Not because of necessity. But because of pride. Because of rivalry. And because no one wanted to back down. This wasn't just a war. It was a reminder. A reminder that humans have always been capable of turning small problems into massive disasters. And the War of the Bucket isn't the only example. History is filled with conflicts that started over things that seem trivial today. But at the time, they meant everything. Power. Honor. Control. These ideas have driven people to fight wars for centuries. And sometimes, all it takes is one small incident to ignite the flame. So was this really the dumbest war in history? Maybe. Or maybe it's just the most ironic. Because behind the absurdity, there's a deeper truth. Human nature hasn't changed that much. Even today, conflicts can start over misunderstandings, pride, and small disputes. And if we're not careful, history has a way of repeating itself. So the next time you hear about an argument or conflict, remember this story. A war that may have started with a bucket, but ended with thousands of lives lost. If you found this story interesting, make sure to subscribe for more strange, unbelievable, and absurd moments from history. Because sometimes, the truth is stranger than fiction. Thanks for watching.